Hey guys, how's it going? Master Cow here, and today I'm going to be doing the 13th video in my 2021 NFL offseason preview series, the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers finished with a 7-9 record. A lot of the issues that plagued them from the previous year when they finished 5-11 were around this year. Special teams play was horrendous. Defense blew late leads. Then head coach Anthony Lynn had some bad clock management, and that led to Lynn being fired after the season. And the Chargers replaced him with Brandon Staley, who has had a meteoric rise after one season as the Rams defensive coordinator, which the Rams had the best defense in the NFL by most metrics. Staley will now be tasked with being the head coach. I was against the firing of Lynn, despite the clock management issues, despite the ongoing special teams problems, especially because I wanted them to keep their offensive coordinator Shane Steichen. So they brought in Saints quarterbacks coach Joe Lombardi to be the next offensive coordinator, and we'll see how he does with Justin Herbert, who is coming off of the best rookie season from a statistical standpoint. So Herbert is definitely the starter after that outstanding season in which he finished Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he will have to learn a new offense again, which is something he had to deal with at Oregon, and that's the precise reason why I wanted the Chargers to keep at the very least Steichen. At running back is Austin Eckler, who was re-signed by the Chargers last year to a 4-year deal as a restricted free agent. Eckler missed some time due to injuries and wasn't as impactful as he has been in the past, so we'll see if he can have a bounce-back year this season. At left tackle is Trey Pipkins, a third-round pick in 2019 by the Chargers, who was drafted as kind of a developmental guy, and he has been thrust into the starting lineup at times because of injuries, with mixed results, and I don't believe that the Chargers will commit to him as the starter next year. At left guard is Scott Quessenberry, who was a draft pick, I think, in 2018 out of UCLA. He's been a backup for most of his career. He started a lot in 2019 because of a lot of the injuries the Chargers dealt with in the offensive line that year, but he didn't play much this year. Chargers do not have a center under contract at the moment. At right guard is Trey Turner, who the Chargers picked up in a trade with the Panthers last offseason. Turner unfortunately dealt with injuries. He's always been a guy that's missed like 2, 3, 4 games a season, but Turner only played in about half the games last season, and he wasn't that effective in the games he did play, so we'll see what the Chargers do with him. At right tackle is Brian Bulaga, longtime Green Bay Packer who joined the Chargers last year as a free agent. He's also been a guy that's had injury issues, and those also carried over for the Chargers in 2020 as well. Wide receiver Keenan Allen, third rounder in 2013 out of Cal, who's consistently been one of the top receivers in the NFL. He got himself an extension before the season. He had an excellent season last year. Mike Williams is the number 2. He's set to enter the 5th-year option of his rookie deal. Williams had a solid year last season, and I think the Chargers will keep him. We'll see if the Chargers sign him to an extension or not. And then their number 3 receiver is Joe Reid, who was a 5th-rounder in 2000 or in this past draft out of, I think, Virginia, who mostly played special teams. Jalen Guyton is their actual number 3 wide receiver. I think he was either a waiver claim or a practice squad signing from the Dallas Cowboys. But Reid has the higher cap hit. And then Donald Parham, a guy who I think he played in the XFL, and is their next tight end. He was their number 3 and sometimes number 2 tight end last season. Over to the defensive side, you got Joey Bosa off the edge, one of the premier pass rushers in the game. Bosa was healthy last year for the most part. He did miss some time with a concussion, I believe, but he still is very effective, dangerous himself. He also got himself an extension before the season as well. Linval Joseph, a longtime nose tackle, defensive tackle in this game, Giants, Vikings, joined the Chargers last year on a 2-year deal after being released by Minnesota, and he had a solid year for them in run defense. Next to him is Justin Jones. I think he was a 3rd-rounder in 2018 out of NC State, who's also been solid but not spectacular. Off the other edge is Jerry Tillery, first rounder in 2019 out of Notre Dame. Didn't do much as a rookie, but Tillery had an improved sophomore season, and we'll see if he gets in line for a breakout season in year 3. At linebacker, we got Kenneth Murray, first rounder in 2020 out of Oklahoma. The Chargers traded up to select him, giving up their second and third round picks to get him. Murray got off to a slow start as a rookie, but his play improved down the stretch. He was a guy that was universally liked around the league in the pre-draft process as a guy who he probably wouldn't have a super high ceiling, but a guy who had a high floor. And we will see if he winds up having a breakout 2021. And then you got Kaiser White, who was a fourth rounder, I think, in 2018, who's been in and out of the starting lineup for the Chargers. And then Drew Tranquil, fourth rounder in 2019 out of Notre Dame. He was a starter, but unfortunately he suffered an injury in their week 1 matchup, and he wasn't able to return from that. At cornerback is Casey Hayward. He's been with the Chargers for a while now. He's with the Packers before that. Hayward had a solid season, but his play might be showing signs of decline as he starts to enter deeper into his 30s. So we will see what the Chargers do with him. He's set to enter the final year of his contract. The Chargers don't have another outside cornerback under contract at the moment. And in the slot is Chris Harris Jr., longtime Denver Bronco. He also joined the Chargers on a 2-year deal last season. He was in and out of the starting lineup. He dealt with some injuries, and then the Chargers wound up trading away Desmond King to the Titans ahead of the trade deadline. And then Harris came back and was there. Harris has played some outside corner at times, so we'll see what the Chargers' plans are for him next year. At safety is Derwin James, a guy who has just kind of become invisible. He didn't play at all last year due to injuries after missing a lot of his 2019 season due to injuries. So, so he's a guy that might be going under the radar, which for a guy that was a first-team All-Pro as a rookie, that's kind of shocking. But hopefully for him, he's able to stay healthy and provide that impact boost to the Chargers defense. And then Nasir Adderley, second rounder in 2019 out of Delaware, didn't play much as a rookie, injured. He was thrust into the starting lineup this past year, and he fared pretty well. Cole Mazza is the long snapper, and they do not currently have a punter or a kicker under contract. So the Chargers free agents, you got Melvin Ingram, first rounder in 2012, who has formed a good duo with Bosa off the edge for some time. Ingram missed time last year due to injury, and we'll see if the Chargers are going to re-sign him or not. Tight end Hunter Henry, who had a great season last year, stayed healthy for the most part, played under the franchise tag, so we'll see if the Chargers can agree to an extension for him or if they tag him for the second straight time. Center Mike Pouncey, who either did not play much or didn't play at all last season because of a neck injury or some other injury. The neck injury might have been the prior year. Pouncey has decided to retire alongside his brother Marquise Pouncey. So yeah. Linebacker Denzel Perriman, a second rounder in 2015 by the Chargers out of Miami, a guy who's been pretty solid for them. He's been up and down. He's also been in and out of the starting lineup because of a lot of injuries. Quarterback Tyrod Taylor. Cornerback Michael Davis, who was their number 2 last year. Tight end Virgil Green. Linebacker Nick Vigil, defensive tackle Damian Square, starting left guard Forrest Lamp, starting center Dan Feeney, starting safety Jalen Watkins, safety Jaleel Adai, who made his way back to the Chargers. The Chargers released him in 2019, and then he was with the Texans that year. I think he was with the Vikings for a bit in 2020, and then he was on the Chargers practice squad before being promoted. Guard Ryan Groy, defensive end Isaac Rochelle is a restricted free agent. Linebacker B.J. Bello is a restricted free agent. Safety Rayshawn Jenkins. Linebacker Malik Jefferson is a restricted free agent. Running back Kalen Ballage is a restricted free agent. He started some games for them after he was cut by both the Dolphins and the New York Jets. Offensive lineman Cole Toner is a restricted free agent. Tight end Steven Anderson is a restricted free agent. Starting left tackle Sam Tevy. Cornerback Tavon Campbell is an exclusive rights free agent. Cornerback Brandon Facyson is a restricted free agent. Punter Ty Long is an exclusive rights free agent. Kicker Michael Badgley is a restricted free agent. And guard Tyree St. Louis is an exclusive rights free agent. So the Chargers right now have just under $24 million in cap space. They only have 48 players in their contract, though, so that number will wind up being a little bit lower, depending on depending on what the final salary cap number gets set at. That number is based off of 180 at the floor, and reports have said that the final value is probably going to check in at 182, 183. So when you factor in the fact that they have 3 more players that will count against the cap, but the cap might go up by about 2 to 3 million, that's probably roughly about where their cap is going to stand right now. So needs for the Chargers, they'll definitely need reinforcements on the offensive line with some free agents there and some guys that are injury prone. They'll need a tight end if for some reason they don't agree to an extension with Hunter Henry and they lose him in free agency by not franchise tagging him. They'll need to find a replacement for sure. They might shore up the defensive tackle position a little bit. They'll definitely need reinforcements at corner, and then they'll have to decide how they feel about their current special teams options, Long and Badgley. Badgley was good as a rookie in 2018. He was injured in 2019 and then wasn't consistent enough in 2020, so I could certainly see the Chargers looking for an upgrade over Badgley at that point. Potential cap casualties for the Chargers. I've seen Trey Turner being speculated as a cap casualty because of his high cap hit and his injury concerns. There would be no dead money and about $11 million in cap savings by cutting him. Bulaga's contract is not cuttable, so he's going to be the starting right tackle for sure. They're not going to cut Mike Williams. They could cut Linval Joseph, but they might decide not to. They could also cut Hayward and Harris. Those guys are kind of, I guess, on the edge. And yeah, so the Chargers do have cap flexibility. Tagging Henry again, I don't know the exact number. I think it might be it'll probably be somewhere around 12 million because it's 120% of the last franchise tag to be tagged a second time, and it was about 10 million for Henry the first time. Tagging Henry for the second straight year would leave the Chargers with roughly 11 to 12 million in cap space, which again they can free up probably about 25, even 30 million if they wanted to release all those guys: Turner, Hayward, Harris, and Joseph. The Chargers, I think, are also going to be changing defensive schemes from 4-3 to 3-4, so that could certainly impact how they address the defensive line positions, especially since Joseph has been a 4-3 defensive tackle, I believe, his entire career, but the Chargers may not use him as a 3-4 defensive nose tackle. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll stay tuned for the next off-season preview video.